Good morning everyone and welcome back to the channel. This is a very calm, dreary, rainy morning, so I just wanted to sit down and work on some more SMAUGUST here. I already sketched everything out because yesterday I was wanting to catch up on YouTube videos and I couldn't film sketching and do that at the same time. So yeah, I'm sorry if that's a little disappointing, but just wanted to get this done and kind of just relax while I was doing that. So this morning I'm wanting to color these. Since I've been saying that I wanted to do different mediums for the past few weeks. So we are going to get into markers today. I've actually been using markers for quite a while, but I'll explain more of this in the voiceover, but I haven't put any actual effort into my marker work. Normally I'm just blocking things in really quickly. So yeah, today I want to experiment with doing some marker work with effort. So try to make this look pretty. So yeah, I was really inspired by I'm a Wonder's latest video where she used markers and colored pencils. I don't think I've ever tried that before, so I'm really curious to see how that works out. But yeah, so I guess we'll just get started and I will turn you guys over to voiceover me. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. And we're back. The prompt I'm working on here is, of course, frog. Frogs come in so many pretty color combos that I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with this one, so I kind of just picked some colors and dove in. So like I said before, I do have some experience with markers, and while that experience is fairly long, it ain't very deep, which is ironic because markers are actually what got me back into traditional media in the first place after I hadn't really touched it since I was a kid. I actually wasn't too interested in traditional media until I saw some marker art my friend Kat was doing for a little art-based roleplay group we're part of on DeviantArt. I don't know if anyone here has heard of Dakotas, but it's totally a guilty pleasure of mine. But yeah, she was doing some super cute and pretty art, and something about how the markers laid down just looks so satisfying, so I decided I wanted to give it a try. And that was the beginning of my current 100 plus marker collection. I started out with a basic set of Cali art markers, then I added some Touch New Master's Touch from Hobby Lobby, and also the Artist Loft markers from Michaels, so those are all in my collection now, and then I tried out Copics. By the way, if y'all are interested, I can do a comparison of all these markers since I'm pretty familiar with them now. The art I was making with markers largely favored quantity over quality since it was for an ARPG, and those require a butt ton of art to advance in the game. So like I said, it didn't give me a chance to really master this medium since I was mostly just churning out little pieces as quickly as possible. But even though the work I've previously done with markers weren't masterpieces, I do have a lot of fun working with them, and they were the gateway drug, so to speak, for me getting into other traditional media. So thank you, Kat, for that. I'm seriously considering doing a video for you guys on my rushed marker art phase, because even though the work was like super low effort, it was one of my biggest growth stages as an artist, and I think it'd be really cool someday to show how you don't have to make masterpieces in order to improve. But anyways, I had a lot of fun playing with the blending in this guy. I was honestly a little skeptical about how well the different brands of markers would work together, but it turned out better than expected. And here we have my first attempt at colored pencils over marker. I probably should have gone with a color that was similar to ones already in the piece, and I kind of regretted doing that blushy effect on the face right off the bat. I was shook by how intense it was over the marker, but looking back, I actually don't mind how it looks. It's not as loud as I thought it was when I was first putting it down, But as you can see, after that little scare, I went in with a color that was more similar to the one I was using it over to get some of my confidence back. Using pencils over markers seems like something that, if done correctly, can strengthen up your gradients and make them blend a whole lot more smoothly. I also really like the texture. I was surprised by how strong the pencils showed up over marker. For some reason, even after seeing other artists use this method, I was expecting the pencils to be a lot less opaque when used with markers, and boy was I wrong. They show up loud and clear, so you have to be careful how hard you press down at first. If you haven't tried this before, I definitely suggest going in very lightly if you're not a heavy-handed monster like me, and slowly build up your colors. I noticed that the Posca pen I usually use to add highlights over my traditional art showed up even better on marker than it does on watercolor. I'm not sure why that is, maybe it has to do with the texture of the medium or the paper or both, but either way, I'm here for it. Now that I know this, I think it'll ease some of the pressure I was feeling when I first started this piece about having to pre-plan highlights as blank space. To fit all of today's marker drawings in with the rest of my SMAUGUST art, I went in and added a metallic gold border around them. This gave the frog dragon in particular a sticker-like effect, but you know what? I dig it. It got me thinking that this might make a cute actual sticker, so we'll see. Also, I forgot to mention earlier that the paper I used for all these drawings was my render marker paper. That's the pad, not the sketchbook. My friend Kat, who I mentioned earlier, also turned me on to render paper, and I'm so grateful. I've used several types of paper for markers, cheap Walmart marker paper, cardstock, my ELO sketchbook, and some others I can't remember. The render paper by far is the best. It has never bled through to the other side, even if I've packed on several layers of color. I was curious about whether or not the paint marker would leak through, but alas, as I show you at the end of this video, it did not, which was really surprising and really cool. I find that the render paper tends to make the marker look a lot less streaky than it does on any other paper. It's great for blending and makes the ink look so smooth with minimal bleed outside the lines. Really the only complaint I have, which isn't really a complaint so much as a personal problem, is that my line work tends to leave noticeable imprints on the other side of the paper. It's not really noticeable if you do use both sides of the paper, or if you're somehow magically able to draw lightly, but it's just something to be aware of if you're planning on using both sides for masterpieces. Just in case it isn't obvious, the prompt for this dragon I'm currently working on was Fennec Fox. I really enjoyed working on this one. The earthy tones were so nice to work with, and I believe I did the majority, if not all, of the body coloring with my Copic markers. It was as I was doing this piece that I realized how doing so much watercolor lately has influenced how I use the brush tip. I'm definitely able to get more feathery, tapered strokes than I was before because of all the practice I've had with the watercolor brushes. I really enjoyed the soft look this added to this dragon's color shifts. It looks a lot smoother than anything I've ever been able to do previously, and after all this time, only now am I seeing why Copics are so sought after. I almost got the same precision and opacity shift out of them as I'm able to get digitally, which is super cool. Next up, we have the bat prompt. There were so many bat species that I was having a hard time choosing which one to turn into a dragon because they are all cute, but I ended up going with my fave, the fruit bat. This one gave me the most trouble out of all of today's dragons because I wasn't sure how to approach shading and highlighting with darker marker colors. It gave me a lot of room for experimentation and error, but I'm happy with how it turned out in the end. For the tan/orange areas of this dragon, I worked from light to dark, laying down my highlight color first before going in with darker colors to give the appearance of shading and fur texture. For the dark areas, I kind of did the same thing, but the color I initially laid down was actually meant to be shading rather than highlights. I wanted to see what would happen if I put down my shading first and then went over it with a more saturated color. I was curious to see how well it showed through. The effect wasn't quite noticeable as I'd have liked on the brown bits, but it did create the look I was going for on the parts of the legs where I went over it with a gray marker. nearing the end of this piece, I wasn't quite happy with where the highlights were at, so I decided to see how well the white colored pencil would look. I shouldn't have been surprised, but again I was at how well it actually showed up, especially on the darker bits. Definitely a useful tool if you want highlights that are a little less opaque than what you would get with a paint or gel pen. All in all, I'm pleased with what I learned from this piece, and although it isn't my favorite one of the bunch, that honor goes to the Fennec Dragon. I'm glad I did it because it did teach me quite a bit as far as marker layering. For the last prompt for today's video, we have the Tamarind Monkey. Although this is technically prompt 10 out of 15 for the SMAUGUST list I was following, this is the last dragon I'll be doing for SMAUGUST at least. There will definitely be more non-SMAUGUST themed dragons in this channel's future because I love dragons. I do feel it's time to move on to other stuff though, especially with August being over at last. Yay for being 1 month closer to cooler weather. I had a lot of fun with this challenge, and even though I didn't have time to finish the whole prompt list, I'm happy with how far I got and with how much I learned. All in all, it's been a pretty successful challenge, I think. I honestly can't believe I even made it 10 dragons in. All these prompts were so cute and fun, and who knows, maybe I'll revisit this prompt list in the future and try to finish it off after we've done some other things. So for this prompt in particular, I was pretty excited to work with a golden monkey. I recently finished the original 3 books of Historic Materials, as well as La Belle Sauvage. I hope I'm saying that right. And I'm currently working my way through The Secret Commonwealth. So yeah, I was totally thinking about Mrs. Coulter and her creepy monkey the whole time I was doing this. I couldn't help but to refer to this dragon in my head as Malice, since one of the characters in the books thought that's what the monkey's name would be. So yeah, this is the only dragon out of the 10 that actually has a name. This is probably also the most simple dragon out of the 4 I did for this video. After all the troubles I was having with the bat dragon, I kinda just wanted to chill with this one. The colors were really nice to work with, and I really like how the fur texture turned out. I'm not usually a fan of orange, so this was a little surprising for me that I actually enjoyed working with it. That being said, the footage doesn't really do the actual piece justice as far as how pretty those Copic oranges and yellows are. They are really vibrant and so satisfying to use. can see what the back of the paper looks like after all this coloring. As you can see, there is no bleed through, so yeah, I highly recommend this paper for your marker work. And that's it for today. I hope you all enjoyed watching the process for these 4 dragons. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Bye everyone!